Hey everybody, I am Dylan, this is Michael, and welcome to the first episode of Nerdy Nakama. Alright, here we are with the first episode of our podcast, Nerdy Nakama. First thing I want to talk about today is the My Hero Academia anime lately. Chisaki's face, I just love it. I cannot get over his look of fear when he was getting his hands cut off and Toguro was just taking everything from him. I love it.
See, I really appreciate that because Toguro, he is one of the more badass villains that I've seen. Because he found a villain that didn't want to follow him, and he literally went out of his way, even risking his own people getting captured and everything, just to break that man down. It was beautiful.
You know, I haven't been for him a lot this whole show yet, but that look on his face whenever he said that he got to take everything from Chisaki was great, and actually kind of made me happy to see. So, but I'm still ready to see Deku smash his face in later on.
Oh man, I can't wait for Deku to beat him. Just because, villains always have to lose, but at the same time, you gotta really appreciate some villains having a rise to the villain spot, the top villain spot too.
Well, and I feel like that's a good thing about storytelling nowadays is evil people don't think they're evil, you know, and there's always stories about how they got there instead of just evil.
Yeah, Hero Killer Stain, he views himself as a killer and everything, but he's doing it for the greater good.
Exactly. I mean, how many people looked at him and kind of thought the same thing they thought about Thanos, this guy might not be so wrong right now.
Yeah, man, when you can really identify with villains, it just brings it in so much better.
So with everything that's gone on with Night Eye, you saw what happened to him recently, right?
No.
Okay, well, Night Eye's dead. He died in the last episode.
Who is that again? I'm sorry, I'm terrible.
Oh, you're good. That was All Might's sidekick.
Oh, yeah, yes, yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, he passed. He was also Lemillion's mentor and everything like that.
Yes, seeing Lemillion sit there looking him in the eyes, it was depressing, I'm not going to lie.
So, do you think Mr. Mirio's going to get his quirk back, Lemillion?
Honestly, I don't think so. I think he's going to be quirkless forever. Yeah.
Well, and it's a statement made. I mean, if he gets it back, it kind of takes away a lot what this arc introduced. You know, it's kind of like if they were to bring Ace back in One Piece, it would kind of take away a lot of the drive that it's given to Luffy and things like that. It takes away a big impact to the story.
Yeah, and I don't know, when he was looking at Lemillion, I feel like he saw the future and saw how he wasn't gonna get his quirk back, but then didn't tell him just to give him hope. You can still do it.
Hero and point him in the right direction, knowing what wasn't going to happen, but how great he'd still be in spite of that.
You know, maybe Lemillion even doesn't get his quirk back and doesn't actually become a hero in that sense, but still he's out there doing good and helping people no matter what, not having a quirk or having the quirk, he's still out doing everything he can to save people. Yeah. I feel like that would still make him a great hero.
Fair enough, yeah. And especially, who he's going to be in the eyes of Eri, at this point. I mean, if that's all it was, I think Miri would be okay if she was the only one that he ever got to save like that, because it was a big deal to him. I don't know.
Yeah.
But with that whole foresight that he had, obviously Deku was able to change it by beating Chisaki. Do you think Deku's going to be able to turn around All Might's fate that Night Eye saw?
All Might, I feel like he definitely is going to die.
You think?
Yeah, I have a depressing view on a lot of these situations just because, I don't know, I feel like it would have a lot of impact having having All Might die like that, because it would drive him, it would drive Todoroki, and it would even affect Bokugo. They would all go out and become better just from him dying, and
kind of like the drive the drive that Luffy got from Ace and everything, seeing them die, it puts a new perspective on things.
But at least with All Might, there's more build-up than there was with Ace, because All Might's from the very beginning, he's been messed up, and you've seen it, and each time something happens, he can do less and less.
Yeah, I'm personally very split because it's one of those things where early on, like, it was introduced that he's going to die, but now they've introduced the possibility that he won't. But how many times have we just had something thrown in our face? But I feel like just to
also to increase the villains.
What's that?
Just to, like, increase the villains' accolades in, like, the villain community.
Yeah.
If I can't remember his name at all. The disintegrating guy.
Oh,
he can.
Togura.
If Togura can actually kill All Might,
or is it Tomura?
I feel like he would definitely become, like, the #1 villain that we have to see be defeated by Midoriya.
Oh, I just want to say I apologize. We were saying Togura. It is actually Tomura Shigaraki. It shows how dumb we can be sometimes. Tomura is the disintegrating guy's name. Oh well.
It happens. I'm not good with names, except for One Piece names. For some reason, I can remember almost all of theirs.
Yeah, I mix them up as well. But My Hero, currently I'm caught up in the anime. Hopefully by the next episode, I'm going to be fully caught up on the manga because I cannot wait to continue the story at all.
What chapter did you get to, actually?
Oh, man, I think I got to chapter... Let me see here. Got to chapter 161.
Okay.
So it's only briefly after what's going on here right now in this arc.
Yeah.
But
still, on the subject of anime, I feel like just talk about Dr. Stone and some of the other upcoming anime that are doing real well.
Please do. I have not seen Dr. Stone.
I mean, Dr. Stone, it has a really cool premise because in the very beginning of it, it basically stops all of humanity from being able to move or do anything, and the main character, can't remember his name either, Senko, one of those two. He is able to continuously think over millions of years while his body's encased in, like, some stone, hence the name Dr. Stone.
Okay.
But he's like a super intelligent scientist that is just attempting to bring humanity back from almost extinction where they all got frozen like that.
Senku Ishigami.
Yeah, Senku.
Okay.
He's a really cool character, and right? But the whole premise of it is really just science-based. So if you like science, it's definitely an anime and a manga to check out.
Well, and I love when manga and anime do that. Like One Piece, I mean, obviously there's anime logic. There's certain things that you're just not going to have, like people with powers and devil fruits. But to that extent, I mean, you've got all the scientific backing behind it, like Luffy. If someone were to be made of rubber, this kind of makes sense as what they'd probably be able to do, you know? Or, I don't know. You know, they have science backing fake things. And it still makes it makes full sense. Instead of just being full anime logic, you've actually got something to tie it into.
See, I appreciate that too, because when it comes to Luffy and his, Gamu Gamu no Mi being able to withstand electricity to an extent that's reasonable.
Yes,
but
I loved that.
The only issue that people find with that is, like, the heat that the electricity would be going at would probably melt the rubber.
Oh, that's a good
But my view is, even if you get hot enough to melt rubber like that, I feel like it would still be malleable enough once it cools off to, reform and keep doing its thing. Like bare rubber, at the basic level.
Okay, so I see they had a bunch of science backing that with a tad bit of anime logic. they mixed in a little bit on both ends there.
Yeah, but like rubber, he always bounces back, so,
Oh, dude, that's what we're going to do with our Luffy, man. He's going to be the Pirate King. What do you expect? The only other one I want to talk about right now, too, is Demon Slayer.
Demon Slayer?
I need to read the manga on that one, but the anime has had me captivated.
Okay, so at what point is the anime at right now in Demon Slayer?
Let me check here. Anime. It's been a few weeks now since I saw it, but really what we're looking for is he's still just trying to figure out how he can cure Nezuko. I remember he ran into the big bad. Who was the big bad of Demon Slayer?
Michael Jackson.
Yeah, the Michael Jackson guy. Muzan Kibutsuchi. I believe I'm saying that wrong. So towards the end, he'd ran into him in the city, and Muzan was there with his family and everything. But honestly, I'm gonna have to go back and rewatch. All I know is I loved it, man, and the animation was amazing. The freaking colors, the way that they just made everything look. The fact that all the demons.
Did
go ahead.
The anime get to the point where like they fought the Spider family?
Yes. Oh yeah. Oh man. Oh yeah. That was a good one.
That was beautiful.
That was beautiful. It was completely beautiful. And oh gosh, what was that guy?
The one hope that I had, honestly, but like the one hope that I had going from the manga to watching the anime was the art of when they're swinging their swords. I was just hoping that they would get that and make it look beautiful, because it would be hard to do, because that's like a Japanese style kind of drawing, and to put that into an anime, but they did it so well.
Yeah, it gave me a very very feudal Japan feel, you know.
Yeah.
And not just in a way of like they were trying to make it feel that way, but it was genuinely there.
Yeah, kind of like, I don't know, I don't want to insult my favorite series, but I feel like that's a little different from what they're doing in Wano with One Piece right now. Because I feel like some of the themes that they're putting in are a little forced.
A little bit, yeah. But in some cases, I feel like Oda's always done that almost for comedic effect.
Yeah, he does it with his own style and brings it back to prominence. Like, normally for sumo wrestling, they have like something hanging over on the roof, but instead it was basically like a balloon for the building, and it was just floating. And I feel like having that is, I don't know, it's the One Piece style of Japan, and it works really well.
I can't beat Oda, or Goda, as we say. And I don't know, I really love what they're doing. I mean, I know a lot of people are unhappy with the anime right now in One Piece, but I think that they're making it look great, you know, especially from where we've came from. The things like the red auras, I mean, they make sense while they also don't, you know.
If they had the red auras and like the auras in general before this specific arc, instead of just like installing a whole new like vibe and style, if they had that in there for a while, because that's kind of what hockey's always been, you know, it's your essence, your life. And they even put that into like the manga for when Isho Fujitora Isho, yeah. He was looking at people, but he was blind, so he was seeing their auras themselves. So if we had that early, we should have been already using that in the anime. Yeah. So it's not something that the new editors are doing wrong. It's just something old editors should have been doing right.
Fair enough. That's a good way to look at it too. Yeah, because I mean, it had been put out there many times that these auras were able to be seen, you know, through the use of hockey.
Yeah.
So obviously they exist.
Exactly.
And it only makes sense for stronger wills to physically be shown. I mean, you got the black blades. For a long time, you know, people weren't sure if you could actually see the black hockey vulcanization coming on their arms, but with the black blades, it obviously proves that they can see the black just like we can.
See, the black blades, I don't exactly know how to feel about that, whether that's the armament hockey being permanently infused with the blade, or if it's some different form of basically giving the sword its own hockey, its own will. Like, I feel like that might be something there.
It's not a bad idea.
Speaking of hockey, like, I wanted to talk about the Alabasta Kingdom arc and some of the new revelations and how it changed my views on that.
What do you got? Oh, excuse me.
So I was talking the other day with some people, and they told me that the impact oh yeah, you were in the conversation too, so I don't even have to be vague about that. Like, the impact that Luffy felt for the war in the Alabasta Kingdom wasn't anything like what Vivi felt. That, I feel like, is completely untrue, because what it means to be a king above all kings, like what we feel like hockey is, Supreme King's hockey, that, I feel, it's the disposition of a king, right? So he's not wanting to rule, but he's wanting to be free. he is taking on Vivi's burden just like Vivi is taking on the burden of her people. So when she loses her people, if they were to lose that fight and all of her people die, Luffy would be hit with that almost just as hard. Not because he was living there and he knows all the people like that. Vivi doesn't know every single person in her kingdom, but it's just a good quality of a leader to truly empathize with their people.
Citizens and leadership has for their followers. I get what you're saying there, and that's true leadership, not like Orochi, who obviously doesn't give anything for his citizens and followers. But yeah, I see what you mean there. With it has to do with a true ruler, a true leadership, and that's what Luffy is, and that's what Luffy feels. Even though he doesn't quite understand it, that's what the people around him perceive as well.
Yeah, he's a leader that anyone can really follow, and that's what we've seen time and time again. And with this whole Joy Boy thing coming on, like, I feel like that is also important for Luffy as a person, because Joy Boy was someone who is supposed to bring together like these sovereigns, these rulers, or be one of the rulers himself. And I don't know, I feel like that's going to be really important moving on with the story of One Piece.
I see what you mean for Luffy, because it's obvious at this point that Joy Boy was a person from the past, but he's also the title for a person who is to come.
Yeah.
And so for Luffy to become that person, he's going to have to go through a little more. I mean, even Zoro has said it since the beginning of the time skip, you need to take this stuff seriously. And time again, even throughout all of everything that's gone on, Luffy hasn't. I mean, he let Sanji beat him up, try and leave the crew, and we haven't even seen Zoro truly, I mean, I feel like Zoro's going to have some hard feelings over that after Wano, once they really figure out what's going on, but
I can see that, but at the same time, I can't.
Personally, I don't feel like Luffy is taking things serious enough, and I think for him to become this Joy Boy figure, he needs to have something else happen where he realizes the true immense pressure that comes from all this that he's trying to do.
So, I want you to take like your perspective of what Zoro would have been feeling about people leaving Luffy, stepping all over him, but seeing Luffy still smile and dance through it, be happy, right? But then go into Zoro's perspective when he went into Ebisu Town. When he saw all of those people on their last leg still finding joy in whatever they could. They have to be happy, they have to smile. Like, yeah, that got torn down and was emotional, but at the same time he was seeing that as something that he could see himself. He smiled himself, even though he was surrounded by people who were literally dying and falling apart. And I feel like that has ultimate implications for the crew, for Luffy, and for the narrative of the story entirely.
So instead of more Luffy needing to take this serious, you think it helps Zoro kind of take a step back?
Yeah, I feel like the title Joy Boy, how Luffy acts, and how hockey works in general. If you're not yourself and you have to change, if Luffy has to get serious, if Luffy has to become something he's not and be planning, he has to make sure that nobody's going places that they shouldn't be. That takes away from the freedom, the lack of restriction for their own hockey, Okay. And it, for the narrative in general, I feel like Joy Boy, he just has to be happy, and that's what he's doing. He just wants everyone to be happy,
Well, and how many times has the point been made that Luffy would never be able to do what he's done without his crew, that he would never be as far as he is without them, and instead of maybe him needing to pick up that extra slack, Zoro can come to realize that, hey, we're meant to be here to pick up these spots that he's not focusing on or something like that.
Yeah.
To make this all happen and be successful. That makes sense. But yeah, okay, I see that. Like Luffy, he has to be who he is to be Joy Boy and to be king of the pirates. And I see for him to make that change, it wouldn't be okay.
It's like Blackbeard can't be Joy Boy.
Kind of like, yeah, okay.
Because he's happy at times, but you saw it. He had fear in his eyes versus when Luffy, when he thought he was going to die, he was happy. He was like, man, I guess this is as far as it goes. But, if you don't have that genuine, freedom of, I'm not worried about if I'm going to die or not. Yeah, I'm not worried about all these other details.
Blackbeard's like the most non-D there is.
See, I like it because, everyone hates on him, and that's okay. He's like my favorite character in One Piece, but he doesn't act like a D from what we've seen.
No, not at all. But he's still traveling down that same path.
Yeah, I don't know, the way Blackbeard acts towards like the whole story entirely, how he's moving through it feels like he knows something, like he already knew about that history before he even started his journey.
And it's like, how did he know so much about the devil fruit that he possessed? And as we recently found out, isn't his ship called the Saber of Zebek?
Yeah, the Saber of Zebek.
So obviously he has some relation to Rox, who was the previous, and I put up air quotations, he was the previous pirate king. He wasn't the pirate king. He was the previous, wanted to be king of the world. He wanted to rule everything. So Zebek had to know something from the Void Century. Zebek had to have some sort of information from a different viewpoint than everybody else that would cause Blackbeard to do the things that he's done.
Yeah, I feel like Zebek, he knew about the true history, but not only did he know about the true history, he wanted to do something else. He wanted to change. He wanted to take control. He saw, like, maybe the whole world is under, some form of slavery by the Celestial Dragons, and he, instead of seeing that and wanting to take them down, he saw that and wanted to lead it instead.
He wanted to take that for himself and be the one that was.
I feel like that might have.
And he ran into the same problem that Roger did.
I feel like that would. Yeah, and it would give reason for Roger as well as Garp to want to stop that. Like Garp. Normally, he wouldn't want to protect the Celestial Dragons, but seeing Zebek and how he wants to just be that, but more, like worse, like taking over, making even more people in slavery, I feel like that would give Garp way more than enough reason to like actually sit there and protect the Celestial Dragons.
Yeah, because it kind of, obviously it makes sense for Garp to do it, but it kind of weirded me out that Roger took the time and put his life on the line to protect these people that he was so against. Okay, I don't know if they've made any case where Roger was specifically against the Celestial Dragons. I'm kind of shooting in the dark there, but wouldn't you almost think?
I think during the Reverie arc, that arc, as well as like the part where Sengoku was talking about the rocks situation, that both of those parts like hinted towards at least minimum that Garp does not like the Celestial Dragons, and he didn't want to become like an admiral because he'd be a direct calling dog or whatever you want to call it for the Celestial Dragons.
Well, and I think that's kind of a very D thing for him to have done, is to get as high as he did and then still stay out of the reach of the world government.
Yeah, keep his own freedom and, do what he needs to. So I feel like it would make sense. Do you think Garp has Conqueror's Haki?
Oh yeah, definitely.
See, I would agree. I just want to see it.
Agreed. I mean, we have nothing that confirms it, but you have him going up against Roger and Whitebeard. You have him going up against all these people, and it hasn't ever been confirmed that two people like have to have Conqueror's Haki to really clash this way. But yeah, in my mind, he would not have done what he was able to do without having it. Not only that, but they say that Conqueror's Haki is not for everybody. I personally think that it's very susceptible to being passed down through lineage. Because, it's never been said that it has, but how many parent-child duos have we seen that have it? And
majority of the ones that have children.
Wouldn't you expect Dragon to have it?
I'm pretty sure it's basically like, it's not directly stated, but Ivankov in Marineford, fuck, shouldn't have said that. Ivankov in Marineford basically said something like, what was it? Oh, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree when Luffy used it.
Yeah,
so
okay.
That's,
you're right.
It's not directly saying, oh, Dragon has Conqueror's Haki, but it directly is saying Dragon has Conqueror's Haki.
And then you have Don Chinjiao and Sai. Right there's another father-son duo that have it.
Yep.
Roger and Ace. They both
Roger
had it.
Ace, Big Mom, and Katakuri.
Exactly. You know what I mean? So you get into all these duos of people who are related that have it. And it's very possible that it could have skipped Garp. But in my mind, Garp, Dragon, and Luffy all have it.
Yeah, I would agree with that 100%.
So, and in my mind, there's probably a few others out there that haven't really been talked about that probably have it as well that we're going to see. It's going to be really nice. But someone like Orochi, who is a king, I don't think Orochi has it.
There's no way Orochi has Conqueror's Haki.
No.
Never.
No way. No.
But I feel like Zoro might have it.
I
feel like
Zoro
Zoro
having
definitely has it.
wanting to become, the greatest swordsman. I mean, it was never stated that it was king of the swordsmen or anything like that, or conqueror of the swordsmen. But the greatest swordsman in the world. I mean, at that point, you're kind of conquering everybody else. I feel like it comes with it. And then Sanji was royalty.
Yeah.
I could even see Sanji having it, but
I can see Sanji having it too.
Also, at that point, I feel like you're just handing it out.
Yeah, I can see the whole handing it out thing, but at the same time, when you look at these Yonko crew, more specifically the Pirate King crew, how many people that served under Roger had Conqueror's Haki?
Rayleigh, we know for sure.
Rayleigh, Odin.
Dude, I don't think Neku or Ino have it, do they? The
No,
Dog
not that
Master
we've
and Cat
seen.
Viper?
No, not that we've seen.
I do believe that Shanks, obviously.
Yeah,
God
Shanks.
Buggy. I'm just kidding.
God Buggy has to. What are you talking about? God D Buggy.
God D Buggy. No, you're right though. He definitely. He had more than one crew member under him with one, so it would only make sense. I feel like for at least Zoro to have it. But Sanji being royalty, he's definitely the farthest thing from a conqueror when it comes to royalty. Unless you want to consider each trying to conquer the women or the kitchen. But whole thing is I could almost see Sanji not having it just because even if he was susceptible to it, he just didn't quite have the will for it.
Oh, and I feel like that would actually make a really good dynamic again, since Sanji has more of a higher bounty than Zoro. If Zoro would end up with Conqueror's Haki,
not for long.
Sanji would be like, "Oh, my bounty's still higher," and Zoro would just be like, "I have Conqueror's Haki," and there'd just be a big fight because of it.
Well,
I think that would work out real well. My
personal thoughts are the Marine's going to be in Wano soon, and Zoro's going to do something with Kaido that's going to really scare the Marines. He has possession of the only sword to have scarred Kaido. You think Zoro's not going to do something to Kaido in this arc? In my opinion, you're mistaken.
I feel like there's no way Zoro isn't at least harming Kaido.
Exactly.
Greatly.
I don't know if he's going to get the last strike or take him down. I kind of feel like that'll still be Luffy's thing. But I also don't see Kaido as someone who's going to be taken down by one person. If they all go at him and then there's only one person left standing at the end of it, that was still not all Luffy at the end of it. It was still help from everybody else.
So big thing that goes through the community, that has been going through the community up until right when Wano started to really kick in effect and people couldn't find the exact one for ones that they wanted. Thriller Bark basically being Wano, but in pre-time skip. I feel like that's so much more accurate now that we see Big Mom there and Kaido there. We have Oars as the big monster that everyone's going to come in together and fight, just like we have Kaido, the big monster that everybody's going to come in and fight. But the one person that was trying to, one of the one people that was trying to fight Kaido, Oars, was Zoro. So Zoro's going to be one of the only people that wants to fight Kaido. And I feel like if you have that, and you also have all of them getting stronger, there's no way that Zoro's not going to hurt Kaido greatly.
Agreed. And like I said, it goes back to a few other things. Like I said, first off, he has Enma, the only sword that's ever scarred Kaido the way that he's got that scar on him. Secondly, if you notice in the last chapter, they talked about how Kaido just appeared from the sky as a dragon. We'll think back to Zoro's ancestor, Ryuma, who defeated a dragon in Wano. Zoro's gonna have to parallel this in some way. Even if he's not the one to do the slaying, he's gonna parallel the fact that he has Odin's sword. He is the descendant of someone from Wano who was legendary for taking down a dragon already. It's just there. Everything's there for Zoro to do something great.
I've seen two separate
and I think
viewpoints
in the midst
on
of
that.
And I think in the midst of that, the Marines are going to see this, and it's going to make him shoot past Sanji, way past Sanji on the bounty level. They're going to get scared.
Like, yeah, I agree that the Marines are going to see this, and that's going to set Zoro off. Because I definitely think the Marines are going to be there. I feel like the Revolutionary Army might be there.
That would be awesome.
But with Zoro slaying the dragon, I've seen two separate viewpoints on that. Like, we, first off, don't have exact confirmation besides the fact that they look almost exactly alike, Ryuma and Zoro.
Oh, yeah.
We don't have direct confirmation. But then we also have Ryuma being a Shimotsuki, and then the Shimotsuki that we've seen so far in One Piece, they look, once again, so close to Zoro, it's scary.
Mm-hmm.
And so that is the point where people are saying, yeah, Zoro's definitely going to slay the dragon because he has the blade that scarred Kaido, and he has the ancestor that slayed a dragon. Zoro's going to slay a dragon.
Well, and here's the thing is that even if he maybe doesn't get the last hit, and I could almost see him, for the reasons of lore in Wano, you know, just storytelling and lore, that Zoro would be the one to slay the dragon in all the stories.
Even if Zoro isn't doing majority of the damage, if Kaido like gets beaten down by Luffy and then Luffy goes off to fight Big Mom and then Kaido gets back up and then we have other people fighting Kaido, Zoro's still going to be the one that slays him, that ends it, you know?
Agreed.
I feel like that would make perfect sense.
I agree completely. I mean, the fact that he was handed Enma, to me, is just the biggest key factor in all that. I mean, he was given the only sword to have scarred Kaido, which, by the way, I'm super excited to see this next chapter. I'm so excited to see my boy Odin go up against Kaido, because, dude, they massacred my boy in this last chapter. Watching him dance around
Odin.
like a fool like that, I could not believe it. I feel so
it was
horrible.
so painful.
I feel so horrible watching Odin do that, and I gotta know what they have over his head. Why is Odin doing this? Why is he breaking my heart?
Do you think that it's possible that Kaido has one of the ancient weapons?
That could be very possible. If he does, though, I don't think he has the ability to use it. I feel like there's a key that might come with this that he doesn't have, because if he's got this ancient weapon, why is he taking the time to create these weapons factories, take over Wano and things like that, when he could just immediately go take down the world government with an ancient weapon?
Okay, so the difference that I just noticed between this official release and the previous release was when Orochi was like kicking Odin and he was like, "Oh, I need your full support." And then Odin asked him like, "Oh, what of the boat? What with Kaido?"
Yes.
But in the official, it says, "What of the ships?" Like multiple. So I feel like that might change it, because that's what I was banking off of
originally
for Kaido having an ancient weapon. But I think what they could have been holding over Odin was like, "Oh, if you do this, you'll be handed your kingdom back." Kind of like what they did to Riku. Like, make a fool of yourself and, ask for this amount of money from your people and we'll give your kingdom back. Orochi's like, "Oh, you keep dancing, you bring their spirits up and you'll get your kingdom back and we'll sail off with all the ships we're making." Something like that. I feel like that would be really interesting.
Well, and, I would almost expect them, if they're doing weapons factories, Smile Devil Fruits, other things like that, it only makes sense for them to have some sort of special fleet, for these ships, for all these people to go out and conquer the world on. Yeah.
And something really interesting is how Kaido...
Almost see it like Palpatine having a bunch of those mini Star Destroyers again.
I don't even want to get started on Star Wars, dude. That bothered me so much.
Oh, man.
Like, how are you going to do that? Like, where was all of that before? And then what about the First Order? They weren't even a part of that. They were still waiting outside that star system for you when you come out.
I know, there was 2 different empires going on at the same time.
And they only took care of one of them, and they still have a threat looming above. Like, what? It's over? And there's still this threat?
Kylo's dead? I guess we're just going to go home then. So, he's Ben again now. Yep, I guess we're out.
Is he Ben again, like, as Skywalker? Is he Ben Palpatine, like Rey's Skywalker?
Oh, no,
like,
he's Ben Skywalker at the end of the movie, and then
Wait, so there's 2 Skywalkers?
No, Rey was a Palpatine.
Yeah, but at the end, didn't she say, I'm Rey Skywalker?
So here's something. So here's what it was, is that Kylo's body she force absorbed his body. Like, not purposely, I guess, but he like his spirit went into hers, and she had always felt Luke and Leia were more parents than her real parents ever were.
So what you're telling me is
she felt like she was more of a Skywalker than anything, is kind of what I'm getting from the whole thing. But here's something you need to know. So Palpatine is Anakin's father.
Oh yeah, I remember reading that in the comics.
Yeah, it may not be by blood, but it was confirmed that Palpatine used the Force to create Anakin in the womb of his mother. And he goes into this when he starts telling the story of Darth Plagueis the Wise, and how he could create life using the manipulation of midichlorians.
Yeah.
So, if you think about it, if Kylo was Anakin's grandson, and Rey was Palpatine's great-grandson, Kylo and Rey were kind of like cousins.
Gosh,
and
what is with Star Wars?
It goes back into
incest?
everything I say. Every great story has incest. Star Wars, Game of Thrones. I mean, there's a few other, but just incest.
American Dad
is everywhere.
Like, come on, like any big story is gonna have incest somewhere. That's what I'm hoping doesn't happen here in One Piece. Okay?
Oh, please never, please never.
If Hiyori and Zoro end up being related, I'm gonna be kind of salty.
Oh man, he'd be related to Momonosuke then too.
He would be the rightful heir of Wano.
Zoro would be the rightful heir of Wano. Oh my gosh. Sorry, Luke, I can't continue. I gotta rule this place. This is my people.
Do you think Momo's going to get aged back and be like an adult?
I hope not.
What? That's not something you're down with?
No, because now then they're really playing with time too much. So like here's the thing: is like why? Is there some like that would mean that there's some sort of curse or there's some sort of magic that's holding his age back?
No, I mean not along those lines of Toki's devil fruit doing it, where because like she would have turned to ash, you know, like she was way too old to be alive. But if you go off the other devil fruits that we have Big Mom's fruit, where she could take your lifespan, as well as Shinobu's fruit that ages things. So if Shinobu ages him, I feel like that would, reasonably bring him up to age.
I see what you're saying now. Maybe, but with Kinemon and everyone else there, I just don't see that happening. I see all of them guiding Momonosuke as he takes control of Wano and takes it back in the right direction. Because the whole thing is that, well, and this isn't something I feel like they'd address in the story, this is my personal thought, but leaving Momonosuke young, it leaves him a lot of time to learn and really figure out how to do things, because he doesn't know how to do things right now,
Yeah.
And so having him grow up and learn is probably a better option than just making him older, because he's still going to have to learn everything in the same way, so... personally, I don't think so. I mean, it's definitely possible if Wano feels they need that ruler now. But I kind of think with what's left of the 9 red scabbards to help guide Momo, and then Hiyori. I mean, I could even see Hiyori taking a spot until Momonosuke gets old enough, because Hiyori is definitely... She's been in that spotlight. She's been in that powerful place of Wano for a long time already. She's already a figure they know, and once they know who she really is by blood, it's only going to back that up even more, So I could almost even see Hiyori taking it over until Momonosuke comes of age.
And I would really like Hiyori to take it over, because if Zoro and Hiyori got together, then Zoro would be Shogun for show.
Oh, man.
Because, if he's a Shimotsuki, so he's, a person who's supposed to be a retainer of the Kozuki, but then it turns out that they need an heir, just like what almost happened when Odin's dad was born. Like, Odin's dad was born right before they decided to get one of the retainers to uphold that position as the Kozuki instead. So, maybe Zoro could do what they were gonna do back then.
Oh man. Let's see here. Another thing I had to bring up was from chapter 967. This just broke my heart. Was Roger talking to little Pedro, telling him that his time was going to come to go out on this adventure. just for Pedro to go blow himself up. So
Pedro's
with that,
sad.
do you think? Let me lead into the question. Do you think Carrot's going to join the crew? Because his will was passed on to Carrot to go out on an adventure, and he didn't really ever get to go do it.
See, my only issue with Carrot joining the crew is I feel like there are better options, you know?
Fair enough, but I kind of think, okay, better options in terms of what?
Like, just characters that we've known and character development purposes.
So what do you
like,
think the chances of Vivi coming back and joining the crew are?
I feel like she wouldn't join the crew exactly, but still get that title of crew member like she used to have.
And ride along with them until they got all their crap figured out again.
Like, she would just sail back on the ship, like, okay, now we're going to take down the world government.
Because it's obvious Cobra's about to die, and Vivi's about to go through some crap with the world government and the Celestials.
What do you think is happening with Vivi, Sabo, and Hancock?
Man. First off, I want to say if Kobe can take on Hancock, I will be both happy and sad at the same time, because I will be happy to see how far Kobe has come. I will be sad to see that Kobe has taken down Hancock.
It could be spun in like two ways for me, because if it's done with Hancock only losing because Kobe had the SSG, then I would be upset that he's not that strong, but still at the same time, yeah, if he had to hold his own but then use this like thing to do it, that would be cool. But if like she actually turns out to be ridiculously strong and all of that, but could only be taken down by that, I don't know. It's just a little back and forth with me.
Well, and here's the whole thing is Kobe, I mean, for him to reach an admiral status and be able to take on Luffy in the amount of time, or in the time frame that all this is going on, you know, to still be relevant to the story, I guess, he's going to have to make some power jumps soon. So personally, I think he's already at Hancock's level.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping for. Like, not seeing him rely on the SSG to beat her, but doing it himself.
Mm-hmm.
That's my hope for that fight, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Not that she's going to win, not anything like that. Like, what I would hope most is that, like, he says that he goes back and he says that he killed her, or maybe they don't even fight, and maybe she already raised the flag of Luffy as a Yonko, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then after what goes on in Wano, the world government's like, Kobe, pull back. You know, you're going to bring a Yonko down on us, you know?
Okay. Well, I don't know. I guess we'll have to see how the two of those guys play out. As for Sabo, okay, so Vivi, I honestly have no clue. I just hope everything's okay with Vivi. As for Sabo, I think anything that's going on with Sabo is 100% Sabo's plan. I do not think that Sabo is in any danger or anything like that. I think Sabo is exactly where he wants to be, even if the rest of the revolutionaries don't quite know what's going on.
I agree with that. I've not actually sat here and thought like, oh, Sabo got captured. Oh, he got hurt. Like,
in my head, he's exactly where he wants to be.
Yeah, he just happened to lose contact with them, either saving Vivi or killing somebody.
Yep.
That's it.
And Sabo understood what was going to happen. He just couldn't get that message off to the rest of them. But yeah, no, I don't see them, A, doing this with another of Luffy's brothers. And B, Sabo has been... God, he was using hockey to break down castles at 16. I mean, like by the time Luffy was barely setting off to go to sea, Sabo was already conquering 100,000 people at a time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so, even if Luffy is stronger than Sabo, which I don't quite know if he is, he might be with Gear 4th, but whole thing is that Sabo is not going to be taken as easy. Not as easy as Ace was, for sure.
See, don't do Ace like that. He was facing one of the strongest characters in One Piece. He was facing Blackbeard, man.
True, but if Ace had half the talent Sabo did at that age, things might have turned out different.
I'm sorry, but if Sabo was in Ace's place, I feel like Blackbeard would still take Sabo in. That's just how I see it.
So, he wouldn't have had a devil fruit for
Oh, I mean
Blackbeard
with the
nullify.
devil fruit.
Okay, well, no.
Hold up.
Blackbeard wouldn't have, or Sabo wouldn't have had a devil fruit for Blackbeard to nullify, so he still would have been able to use his black hole and suck him in and things like that, but I kind of think that Sabo's hockey would have been too good and would have got the upper hand on him for it.
Okay, I could see that.
Because usually what happened is, like, Blackbeard gets his hands on them and then they can't do anything because their devil fruit goes immobile and they can't do it and use it anymore. But I feel like at that point, like, Sabo's just like, hey, thanks for getting me closer to you. Dragon Claw. You know.
Yeah, he has some pretty nice close range attacks. Have you played Jump Force?
I have, actually. I just got down on that recently. I downloaded it a few weeks ago. It was on the Xbox Game Pass.
Yeah, it is. It just makes me view Sabo a lot higher in his combat ability. I don't know why.
Did you play Burning Blood?
No, I have not. I only have like the Pirate Warrior games.
Okay, so if you get a chance, in terms of a One Piece game, Burning Blood is one of the best games I've ever played.
Yeah, I've only heard good things about it.
It's definitely a fan service game. It was a game definitely meant to visually please fans. It definitely doesn't have a lot of depth in terms of a game. At the same time, it is one of the better One Piece games I have ever played. I mean, it has full control of the hockey and full control of, I mean, if you're like a Logia, you have full control of when you can use your ability to just let stuff pass right through you and things like that.
Okay.
I mean, it's just amazing. It is an amazing game. And you could probably get it at GameStop for $10 or $15.
You know, I'm actually going to have to spring for that game because I've been wanting to play it for a while and I haven't found any, like, good gameplay with decent commentary about it.
Oh, man.
So I just haven't even watched anything about it.
If you get a chance, just even Google maybe like some of the finishers that they use or something. I mean, they definitely make these things visually pleasing. This game is fun. It is amazing.
Well, that's one more One Piece game that I have on my list.
Yeah, like I said, it's missing a lot of depth in terms of story and stuff, but it's a very, very fun game, just in terms of the game itself and playing it.
So, like, does the story of the game go through, like, certain arcs of One Piece?
It only goes through Marineford, actually.
Oh, okay.
Yep. So, you only go through Marineford in the story mode, and it's very... I mean, a lot of the missions are the same. You know, some of them will have certain stipulations, but the basic thing in Burning Blood is it's all 3 versus 3. And every match is 3 versus 3, except for a few in the story mode where you'll do 1 versus 1. Everyone shares the same health, everything like that. But mainly the story mode is just kind of a retelling of Marineford. It looks really good. It's very, like I said, fan servicey. It's definitely a fun game, but it's definitely a game made for fans of One Piece, not so much for new people coming in for a random game to play that they might not know what it's about. So,
okay.
But definitely fun. Definitely try it out. And
that's what a lot of anime games are. Kind of, they just they cater to the audience instead of cater to game players.
Agreed.
But I feel like Jump Force is a little different in that because like it's a solid game. It's not like the best fighting game you could ever pick up, but
yeah,
it's definitely a solid game plus the fan service of the anime characters.
Did you ever play what was it, J-Stars Plus? I think it was something like that.
Yes, I did. I actually have that one right here in my place right now.
Yeah, okay.
Like,
so that one was okay originally, but then they came out with Burning Blood, and I just did not pick up J-Stars again. And then they came out with Jump Force. I would compare Jump Force and J-Stars comparably close, except for Jump Force is still way better. I mean,
yeah, so much
closer
more
in terms of the style of the game that they are, and how the fighting is played and everything like that. How you kind of have a little more of an open worldy type thing, because you don't really get that in Burning Blood. It's definitely a very 1 versus 1. Like here's a tournament ring, like in a.
Is it like
Rosa? You know how they had the tournament ring? You know, those, it's like those kind of maps, I guess. Very one-on-one-y type looking places too. But
do you remember that Pokemon fighting game?
Just like Pokemon Stadium?
No, it was like where you could play as the Pokemon and like physically fight each other.
No, what?
It was like a fighting game. I can't remember what it's called.
Pikachu about to catch this right hook.
My friend is actually really good at it. He almost got sponsored for it, but he was too into Smash to really go about that.
Damn, I wish we had something like that out here. You're in Vegas, man. You're in the prime spot for all that stuff.
Right. Any fighting game that you want to any fighting game, any type of game you can find somewhere that you could. Oh, it's called Pokken Tournament.
Pokken Tournament.
Pokken Tournament. Pokken. It's like it was like kind of like a
feel like I
Tekken,
have
but with Pokemon characters.
Pokken Tournament. Okay. It's for the Switch? Huh,
Yeah, I think they had it for a different.
Pokken
system,
Tournament is a
too.
fighting game developed by Bandai Namco Entertainment. The game combines gameplay elements from Bandai Namco's Tekken series with characters from the Pokemon franchise, inspiring the portmanteau title Pokken. I don't know if I said that word right. I apologize to anyone who might want to dissect the way I'm saying some of these words.
But yeah, it was actually a really fun game. I never got into it like I wanted to, only because I didn't own it.
Huh.
But yeah, it's definitely worth it.
Released of July 16th of 2015, so it's been out for a bit.
Oh my goodness, I feel so much. Every time like I look at a year, I feel so much older, dude.
Oh, you're talking, man. You're telling me it gets so bad. I mean, I graduated high school, 9 years ago? Gosh.
Ooh. Well, at least you graduated.
Hey, just barely, but we'll talk about that off the air.
Yeah, but man, like anime games, like Pokemon fighting game, like a Pokemon fighting game, that's like a staple that I've wanted since I was a little kid playing video games.
I've got a roommate here, Ashley. Actually, I asked her a little bit later on after we did a few episodes in if she can come up with knowledge with Pokemon and Inuyasha content if she wanted to get on here. So I'm gonna have to tell her about this because they have a Switch. I'm sure they'd be really into that game.
Nice.
So
Well, since we're still on the topic of video games, how many of the Witcher games did you play?
I have actually played none of them up until recently, and I've actually before we even started this podcast, I was playing Witcher 3. I'm in love with it
nice.
right now. I'm still pretty early in the story. I've been focusing a lot on the side quests, but
Like, I liked it. It's just, I don't know. I couldn't get the hang of it. It just felt a little
getting
tedious.
getting the hang of it was definitely a lot weirder than a lot of the other games I've played. It actually took me a second because I felt it kind of felt clunky.
Yeah.
You know, or a little bit hard to kind of move and control in a way. But after rewatching the show again, I kind of just told myself, like, hey, you got to give it another shot. And I did, and I loved it, and I have not been able to put it down. I mean, every weird thought I might have had about it in the beginning, I'm completely over now.
Okay, so you make me want to try it again. At least give it another shot.
At least give it another shot. I can't say whether you'll like it or not, but honestly, I was just so ready to get into the story after watching the show and everything that I gave it another shot, and I'm really glad that I did because it makes me super happy. This game is so fun. And I'm very big on RPG games, open world elements, and this game is one of the biggest games I've ever played. I mean, right now in the beginning, they've got 5 different open world maps for me to go to, like 5 different parts in this world for me to go to with maps, you know. And on each of these open world maps, which you cannot walk on, you need your horse and probably about 10 minutes to get across each part. Each of them have hundreds of just question marks for you to explore, whether they're quests or caves or monsters' nests that you need to destroy or anything. I mean, it's just, I've not played a game this big in a long time.
See, I've played a lot of open world RPGs and everything. I was all into the Fallout series.
Yes.
I was into what was the other one? No, I completely forgot. But the Fallout series. Oh, Assassin's Creed, Skyrim, those games.
The Assassin's Creeds have been very hit or miss for me with some of the games. I mean, Black Flag is probably the best Assassin's Creed game ever made.
One of my favorite games of all time. Yes.
Did you play Odyssey?
No, I have not.
Oh my gosh! So they bring back the ship fighting, like the ship.
Really?
Yes, but there's
in
no cannons.
Egypt?
There's no cannons and everything because it's way back in the day. So you're using like flaming arrows and spears and things like that while you're fighting on the water, and it's just so cool. It is so awesome. On top of that, Odyssey had to have been probably the best Assassin's Creed game I've ever played, aside from Black Flag just being my favorite.
Wow. Because I know I put in about, 400 hours. Like, that's the minimum. 400 hours into Black Flag. And that's only counting 2 of my playthroughs. And I played it, like, 3 or 4 times. So, like, I will put in the hours to a good game that has some good mechanics. So, I might just have to jump back on and lose my life to Assassin's Creed Odyssey.
You will like it, and you could probably find that for a good price right now as well. So it was definitely fun. And what's really cool about Odyssey is it takes a lot of the things from Greek mythology that you might have heard about, a lot of the beasts, lot of those things, and it gives it real descriptions. It gives it real world tales and stuff like that. But at the same time, if you reach certain corners of the earth, you'll fight some of these mythical creatures, and
oh shit,
and you'll
really?
go into you'll go into, so like they'll try and explain, like there was one, I think it was like a cyclops, and it was just a dude who had his eye injured or something, but he was this scary guy that was scaring everybody off. So like they give you a description of what cyclopses really were. Well, then later on in the game, you go looking for this weapon or something else. Honestly, it's a while ago, so I don't remember the specific mission. But I remember fighting a real Cyclops that was a giant with one eye, had the horn on his head and everything. There was a Chimera I had to fight, a Griffin. I mean, there was all kinds of different things that they were like, yeah, these things don't really exist. They're just in fairy tales. And then you get to certain corners of the earth looking for things that have come up in the whole story of Assassin's Creed. And all of a sudden you're fighting these beasts, and they were security measures set up by the old race of humans and everything like that.
Okay,
So
that sounds super lit.
It was really cool because I got all these explanations for things, and I was like, oh, okay, so I'm not really going to run into anything like that here. And then the next thing I know, I'm fighting a freaking Cyclops, a real one. So they kind of give you a little fake out and then throw it back in your face like, hey, no, we're really going to let you fight these, but everyone else in the world thinks that they're just stories. No, they're not.
I feel like that's basically the whole premise of what Assassin's Creed is. It's like, oh, this isn't real, but then the Templars are still real and going on and trying to take over,
Exactly.
So I feel like that melds so well with Assassin's Creed.
You know what I've never understood is someone who can get in power like that and still not have everything they need.
I don't know, man.
Like the
There's
world
so much
government,
greed.
how do they control the whole world and they still just don't have everything they need?
Yeah, like the Celestial Dragons, they could be doing so much else, but they just keep wanting everything.
Agreed.
They're a small population of greedy people. They keep having new children. They keep growing, so they just keep trying to take another. I want one more slave. Oh, this slave ran. I want another $1 billion for no reason.
Yeah, they're just nuts, man. And I've just never understood that, how people who can get in so much power still feel like they don't have everything. I don't know.
See, if I ever got into a position that's like high up like that, I would enjoy the amount of money that I have and then enjoy myself. I'd go into my arts and be happy with that.
Yeah,
that's it.
I'd focus on the piano and this podcast.
Would never forget the podcast.
Oh, man. Let's see, what else do I have here that I wanted to talk about today? Oh, yeah. We saw the previous user of the barrier fruit. How do you think that the barrier fruit and Mr. 2's clone fruit got out of Wano? How did they get these fruits that are both the two most random fruits that I could have thought would ever be put together or here together in Wano right now with two old people?
Well, it kind of just shows Oda likes to use stuff that he's already used before, and he recycles it so well, because what he did before was he took fruits and like gave them an upgrade from like Alabasta to Dressrosa, but now we're taking fruits that we got and he's putting it into the past and showing us how it was used back then.
Yep.
And it's just beautiful to see it like that.
The only thing I could think that would explain this is obviously we've seen Orochi meeting with the world government, right? So what if it's, is it possible that he gave these fruits to the world government for some reason?
See, I don't know if he would have given them the fruit, but maybe like when Odin goes to go fight Kaido right now, it does end up killing these two people. At least they're old Shimotsuki people, not Shimotsuki, they're old Kurozumi people. So they possibly could have, gotten killed in this big conflict that's going to happen. And I don't know, I still have the sneaking suspicion that Odin beats Kaido, but then Kaido comes back because his devil fruit is like a Zoan. So he gets knocked out, people think he dies.
And if he's got a legendary Zoan, there's obviously other abilities that are going to come with it. One of those could be indestructibility. Or, to a sense, I guess, not indestructibility, because obviously he's been scarred up by Odin. But,
yeah. Like, I really want to see how Kaido's hybrid form works, what happens when he really gets beat down, how he bounces back.
What his hybrid form is going to look like. That is going to be nuts.
Like, something that I've been, like, saying for a long time is that Kaido's going to look almost exactly like Godzilla. Like, there's no doubt in my mind.
You really think? That'll be awesome. I haven't given it much thought, but I think you're right. That would be awesome. Just put Godzilla. I mean, Godzilla's got to make an appearance at some point with all the references that Oda has done over the years, and he just loves to do. I mean, how is it in feudal Japan you're not going to get Godzilla?
Yeah, it's Japan, man. Like, that's where Godzilla was.
I mean, you're not we're not going to get some futuristic Japan art with skyscrapers.
No.
So this makes just so much more sense.
If you look at the map of Wano side by side with the map of Monster Island from the original Godzillas, like, they look so similar, it's kind of scary. And I know this is kind of, like, just out there. If you, like, just look up the word Wano in Google, it comes up as, like, the World Association of Nuclear Operation or something like that. Yeah, World Association of Nuclear Operators. Yeah.
Okay.
So the whole Godzilla being nuclear based and all of that, and that's where he gets his powers.
It would almost make sense with where Godzilla coming from this place where all the factories are dumping sewage and dumping things into the water, causing things to die and mutate. You know. Yeah,
and then Godzilla's name is Godzilla, King of the Beasts or something, and Kaido's is King of the Monsters. Like. No, those are actually reversed. Godzilla's King of the Monsters, while Kaido's King of the Beasts. So they're just so similar. If it's not actually direct call out to being Godzilla, that's what Kaido is, then it's at least Oda using the theme of Godzilla and bringing that in to show what it is. You know, using that theme.
I like that a lot. I'd never really given it much thought of what Kaido might look like in a hybrid form, so that's really cool.
Yeah, that's something that I, like, always think about. Like, I don't know, I've been obsessed with this Godzilla theory since before that new Godzilla movie came out. And I watched it with one of my friends, and he wasn't caught up in the manga, and he wasn't caught up to where I would be able to tell him about this Godzilla theory. So the whole time, like, I just kept looking over and like, dude, One Piece theories, man, I gotta talk about it. So once he caught up, I did my whole spiel about it. Yeah. I don't like spoiling people, so I just hold it back as much as I can.
I don't either, unless a certain amount of time has passed, and I'm finally just like, hey, can I have your permission? You know, I never do it without anyone's permission, at least.
Talking about themes and style, like, I feel like, you know how Whole Cake Island was kind of like a musical, and it was scene by scene? It, like, kind of reminded you of, like, one of those old gangster movies at the same time?
A little bit, yeah.
So, like, Wano, it's more so kabuki play. Like, it's directly one of those. It has the acts and everything, yeah. So, what I'm thinking is, once I saw that Wano was going to be a play, I had this idea since the very beginning when the curtains opened on Wano. I thought that whenever we go and face the Marines, we see Akainu, we're going to have, like, an old school movie type thing where, like, you see, like, the shuddering going on from, like, they're playing it on one of those old recorders, only because, you know, the three admirals were based off of movie, they were based off actors. So whenever we get to the arc of the Marines, I feel like the idea of old school movies is going to be kind of the theme of that arc.
It's a good way to look at it. And you know Oda, I mean, he's always got a pattern and a way that he does his stuff. So it makes sense, you know, for that to only lead into something else like that.
And, like, I don't know, if you were to do it in a movie style, you wouldn't have to overly do it like how Wano is directly a kabuki play. It wouldn't have to be so over the top as a movie where everyone notices it right away. How, like, we had Whole Cake Island, and it wasn't, like, directly a musical right away. It was only whenever Big Mom started singing, and we see kind of the acts in between her singing and, like, all the music going on, that we actually... that also reminds me how Brooke was a major part in that arc, and he was a musician, so that's cool.
Yeah. Really tied it in. Oh, man, and speaking of Brook and Whole Cake Island, I just want to say there was not a bigger MVP than Brook in that whole arc. I mean, he took on Big Mom. He got multiple rubbings of the poneglyphs. There was a few other things I remember just looking at, like, Brook, I can't believe you just did that, but just MVP of the Whole Cake Island arc, Brook, for sure. 100%.
Easily. And I feel like
he took on Big Mom.
Yeah, like that the balls on this bone man.
I don't care. I don't care if he didn't hurt her. I don't care if all he did was lose. Like, he took on Big Mom and lasted for a while.
We have Brook and Jinbei both standing up to Big Mom, but Jinbei has been shown to be so powerful, so strong. He took a hit from Akainu and all of this extra.
Yeah.
But Brook doesn't have any of that. He's bones, and if you break his bones, he dies. Yeah. So if he still stood up to Big Mom,
do you think
Yonko, and called her a young
just,
lady,
like, soak him in a vat of milk, and he'd come out okay?
I think he'd come out stronger.
Like, but you know, if he's like if he's like nothing but dust, just kind of stir him in with a little bit of 2%.
You know, his skeleton would start looking like muscles and stuff. You know, like, get that.
It's like that muscly dude from My Hero, how he can bring out the muscle fibers on his arms to make himself stronger. Just got Brook doing that.
Yeah, you know? The sugar dude, right?
Oh man, it was from that. Oh, what was it? It was from the arc he was protecting that little kid, Coda.
Yeah.
Who's
that guy.
Yeah, they were fighting up on
villain.
that hill, and it was like his first real fight. His Muscular was the guy's name. That's all we knew.
Why did he look like Bakugo so much?
I don't know, huh?
I was like, right when I first saw that, I was like, dude, is that his like brother from some time ago? Is he a villain? And it made me think that Bakugo was a villain for a while.
Yeah, well, and there was a lot more that made us think Bakugo was a villain than just that. But I'm glad to see, partially. But I kind of feel like after everything that happened in the last arc with All Might losing his power, and then how Deku and Bakugo had that fight, and they became better rivals and things like that. Also, whenever he got kidnapped, I feel like Bakugo had his real chance to become a villain, and I feel like despite who he is, he still said no, and like he tried to fight him and everything like that. I feel like even if he's too rough to be a hero, I don't think Bakugo's going to be a villain.
Yeah, I
definitely thought so in the beginning. I definitely thought so in the beginning, 100%, that he was going to make that turn, kind of like a Sasuke type thing in Naruto. But I feel like I don't even know the guy who writes that. I don't know his name off the top of my head, but I feel like he's just done really well to kind of set the expectation that he was going to go bad, and then to completely reverse it in a way that completely makes sense, and not just in a way that makes sense, but I was really happy with. Because it really set them up as better rivals, as well as kind of confirming that Bakugo is going to stay good. He's just going to be an arrogant prick a lot of the times.
I love him, but man, he's an asshole.
Yeah, dude, very
sometimes
much.
I just can't stand it.
Very much. So, oh man. Well, I think we're coming up at a little bit past an hour here.
Yeah, I think we've hit all our marks, the stuff that we need to talk about.
I think so as well. What was chapter 969, chapter 970 out next week? I don't think we had a break,
970.
did we?
No break. We're going straight into this fight. So, do you think we're actually... let's just talk a little bit about predictions quickly before we cut off.
Of course.
What are your predictions for this next chapter? Do you think we're actually going to get that fight?
I really hope so, because how many great fights has Oda off-screened already?
Moria versus Kaido.
Exactly. And I feel like this is one that we just need to see. I mean, we have not spent the last, 6-7 chapters in Odin's flashback just to not see him finally take on a real fight. I mean, we saw him clash with Roger. We saw him clash with Whitebeard. It's time to see him clash with Kaido, and this will be a real fight. This isn't going to be something like, hey, let me show you how strong I am so you can respect me. This is, okay, it's time.
He's going in there to kill him.
But we already know how this is going to end, and I personally am not on the team that Odin is still alive in any sort of way. I mean, even in this last chapter, they stated the public execution,
the only way that I could see Odin still being alive is if Kaido ate Odin, and Odin's just been alive in his stomach the whole time.
That would be awesome, while also being weird and a turn I would not expect at all.
Like, you know how some people talk about how Odin is like Hercules because of all the trials, they have similarities in like Hercules' actual fights. So what I would see in that like kind of closely related themes there is if, going off of old Greek mythology, Odin gets eaten by a god, Kaido, and still is alive in his stomach. Kind of like the old Greek gods were eaten by the Titans. So I think that's the only way possible that Odin is still alive.
That would be a really nice way to... I mean, I think it would be a little weird to see Oda mixing mythologies here, but I think it would also make sense if he were to do it that way.
Yeah, but that's the only way, and I don't even have high hopes for that happening.
All I know is my boy Odin is going to, make some redemption a little bit next chapter. Despite how it ends, he's going to make up for dancing naked in the streets because, as I said, they done massacred my boy.
Just think about it. We had chapter 969, and Odin was dancing naked in the streets.
I hate it.
That number is perfect for Odin to be dancing naked. Like, come on. Don't want to be too childish, but it's perfect.
I never even thought of that. Still, they massacred my boy.
Yeah, that was my last bit that I had to say.
I'm ready for a little bit of redemption next week because I think that's going to happen. I mean, we all know how it ends in the end, but we're going to get a little bit of redemption first at the very least.
I mean, he's been chadded in for so long that it makes sense that, he would do something for his people like that. So...
Oh, man. Well, I guess we'll just have to see when chapter 970 drops, huh?
Yeah.
One more week, so well, I guess we'll have it later this week, probably about 4 or 5 days, but about another 7 days for the official translation to release, which we always like to wait for to make sure we have our information straight. So,
man, the officials are always so much more crisp. Like the wording is just so like drawn together, just better.
Well, I'll never be picky as long as we continue to get our manga, but hey, we always appreciate the crisp stuff. So.
Yeah, One Piece. As long as I get One Piece, I don't care about World War III. That's it.
And in terms of a lot of people saying differences between manga and anime, like, if they were really exactly the same, would you be happy? Come on, let it expand a little bit.
Yeah, just so long as the expansion isn't what I saw on Whole Cake Island, where Sanji got one-shotted by Peckham's in Sulong. Yeah. That was my biggest issue with the anime. Like, why would you do that? Sanji isn't getting one-shotted by Peckham's.
There's definitely a few
I
things
shit on
that,
Sanji all the time, but he's strong.
There's definitely a few things I haven't been happy with, but in my opinion, I mean, the manga and the anime, I don't think they should be exactly the same. It should definitely stay on the same track. But the anime deserves a little bit more room to play around with. Yeah,
I even remember reading a quote that the editors, I think, were talking about what Oda was saying about how Oda really thinks the anime and manga are their own things, so he gives them slack. Like, you can do this, but he just guides them on things like coloring and how he wants the stuff to be colored.
You just can't step on my feet at all as I write my own story, but as long as you don't step on my feet, heck, do whatever you want.
Yeah. So I fully agree with that. So, the anime is cool. It's its own thing, and I still kind of watch it sometimes here and there.
Yeah, I definitely need to catch up on the anime. I'd like to. We'll talk about that next week.
Yeah, I need to catch up on a couple of these anime.
I've seen a lot of people complaining the last few episodes whenever I'll put them up, so I want to maybe watch them, get them, kind of binge watch the last few and really get an opinion together.
Yeah, but the 2 episodes ago with Hitokiri, whenever Kamazo got introduced, that scene where it was flashing forward for him to kill somebody, it was beautiful. I still have it as my profile picture because it just looks so nice. Like, that scene was perfect.
Yeah, people may complain somewhat about the story or anything, but the animation's great.
Yeah, you can enjoy reading it all you want, but sometimes you have to watch an anime to really get the flow.
Agreed. And I mean, anime is what got me into manga. It was definitely not the other way around. Anime has a big part in my heart, so...
I mean, it definitely does. Always will do, and I've been watching anime with my family for so long, so no reason not
I definitely
to.
come from the side where I've gotten more of my friends into it than friends who are already into it, so...
Yeah. But
all of it started
I've
from
gotten my
Dragon Ball.
friends into manga. It's great getting my friends into One Piece specifically.
I love it, you know. I've gotten two different friends into One Piece, and one of them finally got caught up a few months ago, and I was able to just kind of sit there twiddling my fingers together, laughing evilly, you know. I didn't even go through all 900 episodes.
Yeah. Did he cry at all when Mary died?
Oh, there was a few times that he cried. I mean, just all kinds of different stuff, you know. And a lot of the same things. It's like in his lobby watching Luffy go Gear Second for the first time, just that feeling of adrenaline and shock. And they're taking it to the next level, you know what I mean? It's like, this is like Goku going Super Saiyan or something like that. Like, this is the next level of fighting, and this is about to be constant. So, I love it.
Yeah, the journey of One Piece is one of the best like stories that you can really read nowadays.
Ever.
Unless you're going to like older school stories and everything, but overall it's an epic.
And I have a roommate here who just recently started Naruto. Actually, she was asking about Sasuke and Sakura. Like, do they end up together? And I told her, I was like, you're not going to be happy about it. I promise you. If you're going to watch all for Sasuke and Sakura, by the end of it, you are not going to be happy. And told her, I was like, you know, if you watch all of Naruto and all of Shippuden with where One Piece is at right now, it's about the same level of commitment.
Yeah, it really is.
Know, I think One Piece is like 150, 200 episodes more.
See, the only big difference,
500, I think, and the first Naruto's at 380. So,
like, Naruto had a lot of filler.
Yeah. Oh gosh, so much filler, and you know, as someone who never reads the manga, I mean, no one ever knows that if you don't ever read the manga. So, and I don't see her reading the manga.
Yeah, but there was some of those filler arcs in Naruto that killed me. Like, I would be watching it I would literally be watching it while I was sitting there with my brother, and like we wait for the new episode to come out. New episode comes out, and it's still filler, and we're just like, where's the story?
Oh, so you were watching it as it was releasing.
Yeah.
See, I never started it until well after. Well, okay, Shippuden wasn't done with yet in terms of the. I guess Shippuden wasn't done, but.
I was watching it dubbed, released on like Toonami and stuff.
Oh, okay. See, I just barely got through Naruto back in 2017.
Oh wow!
Started and finished it all within like a month or two. Well, it's not a month or two. It was a lot longer than that. Sorry, but.
I mean, I could read all of One Piece in about a month.
Ooh, reading it is definitely a lot easier though, but I might have to try and do that.
Yeah, like I've reread One Piece a good 10 plus times at least.
But definitely right now in terms of manga, my top two are My Hero and Demon Slayer. Those are going to be the two that I need to get through right now. And Attack on Titan, actually. That's another one I forgot to mention. I did read through Attack on Titan, and they've been massacring my boy Eren. Oh, they're just killing him. He's so
I need to
now.
actually catch back up in Attack on Titan. I haven't been caught up since I've watched season 2.
The anime is captivating. I love it, and I think they're doing great with the animation. In terms of songs, Attack on Titan has some of the best songs, intro music songs and everything like that. I love it. I just love it. Oh.
See, I don't want to get too caught up in like an anime songs because I don't know. One of my friends was telling me I don't want to like crap on anyone's like favorite series, but I never really liked Bleach like that. And one of the reasons they were telling me Bleach got so popular was because they had really good music and really good animation, and they released right around the time Naruto and everyone did.
Okay. See, Bleach is another one that I haven't really gotten into, and one of my favorite YouTubers talks about him, but I just can't. I don't know. I'll try and listen to the Bleach videos a little bit, and honestly, I haven't given it much of a chance, so I'll probably need to try watching it. But Bleach just has not caught my attention like the rest. Another one that I got to say the same for, and I'm actually going to give more of a chance to, but it just didn't captivate me in the beginning, and I think it's supposed to pick up a little bit later on, was Hunter x Hunter.
Oh yeah, I actually read both most of Bleach, and I'm just like a couple chapters behind on Hunter x Hunter.
See, and I know a lot of people love that one, and they say it's got some of the best fight scenes that you'll see in anime and everything like that, but it just didn't get me the first few episodes. But I know that there's definitely a lot of anime out there that you got to get through more than the first few episodes if you
give
really
it the
want to get
chance.
caught.
Yeah.
Exactly. You know, some catch you in the first few episodes, some don't catch you till the 20th episode, and you just somehow found yourself getting that far. So
yeah, I would definitely suggest watching Hunter x Hunter instead of reading it, because I don't know, there's something about the manga that just feels like it's the over explanation that they have for a lot of what goes on in the manga. It gets cut down a lot in the anime, or it's at least easier to sit through, because sitting there listening to them explain one thing and then explain it again through a different person's perspective and then the narrator explain it, that's my biggest issue with Hunter x Hunter. Just feels like it gets over explained.
that would make sense then. No, that would definitely make the anime a lot easier to handle than the manga.
But man, I love anime. I love manga.
Love it all. I love video games too.
Oof.
That's why we chose Nerdy Nakama. You know, we wanted to talk about more than just anime and manga. It was also video games is a big part of our lives. So I want to just show my love for all of it here.
Yeah, like, you know, what else is a better thing to do besides sitting with a good friend and talking about great stuff, you know?
Agreed.
Like, what else?
Had a lot of fun here today.
It was great. Great conversations, you know, great topics.
And we're going to come back next week for another one.
Yeah, I'm down for that, guys.
I love
Tune
it.
in.
Sweet. Well, I'll talk to you in a bit. I'll see you.
See ya.
Hey everybody, if you liked what we made today, please check us out on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. We are Nerdy Nakama everywhere. And if it's not done already, then it will be soon, but check us out on Spotify and iTunes. Thank you.